has record capacity. I will
Recording. I don't.
All right. I will reshare the notes since I believe I posted them before Matt arrived.
And Kate.
And
Sean.
Kate, I think you may arrive just as I posted them, so I'll share them once more.
I've got them. They're there.
Okay. All right. Good. The thing is that I pulled from our agenda from last time are a review of a pull request that's been outstanding. I think we missed last time a little bit discussion about Alyssa and tag classification. Are there other topics that folks want to bring up?
I'm just gonna have to say that I have a hard stop at 1:30 today. So.
All right. Well, let's press forward then. I am never opposed to meetings not lasting their entire scheduled duration.
Okay.
Let's see. Don't have Mets now, so I know he did a lot of work on the auger bit in the last week. So I think he finished actually. But let's start. I'll share my screen, and we can start by looking at the pull request. Oops, I have to be enabled to share my screen based on security rule 87503 of Zoom Policy Manual 7.
Lovely.
Right. I just made that up, by the way. I don't know if it's that specific, but so we have this pull request focused on supply chain risk. It's gone through a number of iterations, and where it's at right now is there was a fix for code quality, just the link was wrong. There was a fix for committers, and they put back this one. I think I can edit what's in the pull request. I think there just might be some things that, let's see. SPX document. Supply chain risk is the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this pull request has a bunch of stuff in it that I'm not sure why. Like, for example, SPX document is a new document. When I look at the comparison, it's like I thought I understood pull requests, but this looks like nothing was deleted and everything was added. But I guess SPX document is an existing metric, and I wonder if we just had it in the wrong place and that's what's happening, but I don't see a delete.
Well, it's also, I'm like I say, in terms of process, there's a lot of things that seem to be mixed into the same pull request. It's a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
The title doesn't quite reflect everything that I'm seeing in there.
No, it has a lot more stuff in there than should be in there. So I will take that pull request and review it offline.
Okay. Do you want me to put that comment in that we should,
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure, I'll put that comment in right now, though.
But I want to supply chain. I know supply chain risk was one of the ones we were discussing, and so now I'm just wanting to look. If I can find it. Maybe.
Yeah, you also got it set so that
You're on the wrong tab.
Oh, well, I appreciate that insight. Nope, risk. There we go. All right, supply chain risk. I'm not wide enough to see if there's a link. There is not a link for that document. So I could create a new document and put at least the supply chain risk part of that pull request. into a document that we can begin to review. Meanwhile, while I do that,
I'm writing.
I guess I'll stop sharing my screen for just a second. If anybody else wants to share the agenda, I'd like to have a little bit of a discussion or a further discussion about how to work the work of Alyssa into what we're doing in this working group, or what the proper way to think about that relationship is. I mean, obviously we're building metrics.
Who's
that
Alyssa?
are Alyssa is, it's in the, let me get the links from
Enabling Linux and safety critical applications, and so part of the evidence that's being looked at in order to know whether Linux is safe to use in certain contexts is there are certain metrics associated with it for doing an assessment of risk. And some of these are along the lines of, bugs. What's the state of the bugs? What's known about it? What's not? What type of code coverage is there? Have all the paths been exercised? These are sorts of things that they're going to care about. Does that help?
Yeah. And so Alyssa is the contact for this?
Alyssa's go ahead, Kate.
Project name. It's a project name.
Oh,
it's another one of my nice little project names.
No. Now I'm with you. I was tracking totally. My brain was two different directions. Sorry. I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry.
It's sort of like, okay, Kate comes up with, Kate and Mike basically bang their heads together and come up with CHAOSS, and we can't think of anything else. And I came and, basically did the same thing for Alyssa. So enabling Linux
Gotcha.
and critical applications is where it comes from. We possibly should have done stuff, but whatever.
No. I'm totally with you. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just literally wasn't. My brain was on a different path.
Yeah, no worries. So Alyssa, if you kind of want to see what's been going on in that project, we had our workshop the week before last, and they did agree to have every session videotaped, and so we did. We had about 20 sessions over, I guess, 3 days, and there was about 100 attendees overall. So it was the first sort of remote workshop I handled. It's kind of fun in that sense, but it's also a bit like, can we do this and get this right? So there was some talks about some of the metrics that are being looked at from the data analytics perspective. That there's a student in Germany who also I think is interning at BMW working on. And so let me see if I can pull up that link and give it to you guys in the chat.
I did put I did put the workshop link in the chat.
Good. Okay.
From last time, so that might be the same link.
Yeah, that was the announcement. Let me just, we've got most of the talks all put into a nice folder now. So let me just pull that up and give you the link to the folder so you can find all the talks. Actually, I'll give the notes. The notes are probably the better one to do. Then you can get more context around it as well. And they're publicly open to anyone to see. This group again works very open as well. And there we go. And the one is first attempt at data analytics for kernel patch review is a good example. And so, and I'll give a presentation, and these are the two here. So, yeah, let's paste this key stuff in. There we go. Oops. Oh well, this looks like they didn't pick up the slides properly. Just a second, catch the link and put that in. Oh. Um, hmm.
I'm getting slides for some of them, but not for.
Yeah, there's still a few that need to be put in, but the one, for instance, is data analytics for kernel patch review is potentially. What they're trying to look at is, in the safety world, a lot of it is sort of, is there traceability back to the requirement for code changes? And so
I am getting the PowerPoint for data analytics for kernel patch review to come up on my end.
Yep. Good. And so you can, you can listen to the recording, but there's other places in this as well that the analytics and metrics are are useful as part of the evidence being justified to work at. The collagraph tooling might be useful as well, but like I say, it's a level removed from where we are right now, and so they are going to be needed. It's just I'm not sure if they're far. I'm not sure how to bridge the two together completely yet. But if there's definitely interest from your perspective, Sean, I'll definitely keep you looped in.
Yeah, I think those are definitely risk metrics that people are asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going about figuring out how to build them, and is it focused entirely on kernel analytics? I guess since it says that.
Yep, that's kind of it. This is all focused around how do you take the processes of the Linux kernel and translate it into terms that make sense to the safety.
Critical universe, yeah. Because obviously there's a ton of tests that are probably already written around the kernel. Is there a place that those exist?
There's a variety of places, and there was a couple of different talks. Like if you look at the Stress NG one that was done by Colin, he's talking about all the tests that he's doing to stress the kernel and the coverage he's working there. There's all the static analysis, there's all the fuzzing, there's a whole slew of tests that get run. And there's a report that's being worked on in the process group that meets every Thursday. One of the reports being done there is all about the testing that's being done, and that's pulling a summary of it all together.
Obviously, the kernel's a special case. Do you think there are potentially some best practices that we should consider when we're developing metrics tests and I guess metrics that produce analysis of tests for things that are not as hardened as the kernel? In other words, is there a pattern from your knowledge that's worth following as we think about how to represent testing metrics and implement testing metrics in the CHAOSS project?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it so far? Is it so vastly different from everything else that?
Well, so one of the things that's relevant is bug fixing.
Okay.
How many bugs have been fixed? And so we can tell this from what's done and put into the backports, like bug fixes. And other projects use things like counting the vulnerabilities, but at the end of the day, they're all bugs. Right. And there'll also be safety specific bugs that are hazards from a timing and other perspective too. I think we really don't have a good system for taking care of yet. That I know of. Let's say there may be things there, but I don't know of it. But yeah, bugs are bugs, and understanding what the bugs are and the bug stories is probably key for understanding is a certain release safe to use or not. Does Johan have ideas here? I think he studied some of this as well.
Johan?
Sorry, I was reading through the minutes, trying to catch up. I've been on parental leave the past month, so that's why I've been offline in this meeting.
Okay.
So
Well, I know you've done work in this area. I'm just wondering, is there anything that we've been saying resonating at all, or any ideas that you have here too that we should try to work in?
let me just catch up what you were talking about. I was zooming in old.
Yeah, I understand. We were discussing CHAOSS goals for understanding safety critical system testing metrics or testing metrics in general. It sounds like the Linux kernel has some basic data analytics that they do within the kernel. And one of the questions that I had that you might be able to contribute to is if there are patterns in some of those processes that we might look at for developing metrics. I mean, obviously we can think of things like test coverage or other safety critical system measures, but system stress, stress tests. I assume that's what StressNG does. So, stress test might be a category. I don't know what fuzzing is.
It's basically working around the parameters of variables to try to find bugs.
Okay.
Looking at the edge cases.
I see. So,
systemically looking at. So there's fuzzing and static analysis.
I'd say I've done several interviews now with open source tables. And buzzing is one of the recurring things that everyone's talking about. So quite obvious.
are there tools that exist already, Johan, that do fuzzing kinds of analysis?
Maybe not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't know to that detail. Sorry.
Something worth investigating, it sounds like.
Yeah. Fuzzing is a sort of a common. So a lot of security ecosystem, a lot of these things are coming from that space. And there's a fair amount of work that's been done in the Clang ecosystem.
Spell Clang for me.
LLVM/CLANG.
LLVM/CLA.
Yeah, /CLANG. Yeah. No, not dash, slash, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I can't. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to find that kernel testing. So I think it's sort of like, testing, it's basically being able to summarize, the testing that's found, summarizing the bugs that are found, and summarizing the evidence of discussion around things getting committed. These are the three sort of categories I'm seeing emerge on the kernel. No, it wasn't bug fixes committed. It was the evidence around commits, right? Yeah. Sorry.
I'll let you fix that.
Yep. Okay. Some bugs. Yeah, the current rate for the kernel, the last stat I've heard for the kernel is there's effectively 1 commit per hour into the stable trees, which and those are bug fixes generally.
Okay.
And so it's 9 commits per hour into the upstream and then 1 commit per hour into the stable. It's the rate of bug fixing. So you can sort of use that as an inference to that.
Okay. That's
So, how many bug fixes are applied. It's certainly an interesting indicator. I was paying attention to that because at least because Zephyr is sitting at 2 changes per hour roughly right now. Once it's not in a freeze mode.
But it's also interesting to see the time from the bug is reported to and the bug is submitted or fixes submitted. So that's something that's kind of interesting.
Couldn't quite hear Johan.
Sorry, I'm on the bus. Is the time from the bug is reported to the bug fix is permitted and accepted?
Okay.
Are these timings recorded in some metric?
The challenge with the kernel is it has a Bugzilla system, but it's not consistently used. And so
so somebody might find a bug and just fix it without reporting it.
Very commonly, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be having to drop in minutes. Did we want to just quickly touch base on the?
Yeah, let's talk about tag classification while you're still here. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at I'm scrolling down the notes here to find that doc.
Yeah, I was wondering, did you guys all have different thoughts about the classifications? I haven't gone through and finished those off on those, but I'm just, you guys were looking at the process check, solicitation, classification, affirmation or negation. Were those still generally?
Yeah, and I think
everyone's perspective.
Yeah, and I believe I have a to-do somewhere on my desk that didn't get to done about I was supposed to do a summary of it by repo to look for a different picture, and somewhere I remember that now, but
this is why we have minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing ever progresses unless it's been written down and then reminded twice.
Yeah, no kidding.
Very true.
All right, I need to do a different summary of tags by frequency of repo used.
Yes. Or maybe just take that spreadsheet we've got and put a column in there, and just if you can.
Yeah, I think what I can
are each showing up in.
Yeah, I think what I can do is first I'll add a tab and then I'll do an integration.
Okay.
Or something like that, or maybe I'll take the query I used to write the original and just modify it slightly so I get a union of the two. Was that an action item that I took? I somehow missed that. I'm gonna give myself an action item on this meeting, so at least my action item is captured. All right. Are there any other items that anyone wants to bring up?
Not in the 2 minutes that remain.
Okay.
You guys can keep talking without me.
I mean, I think
I'll catch up on what I missed on the notes later.
if Johan has other things to talk about, or Vinod has other things that they want to talk about, I am open to that. The things that I think pop back up from our agenda last time are covered. So if
I
they're
think I have
on.
one thing, but then
Yeah,
I will probably be reiterating myself since my last current presence in this group. I think it was last time I attended was in early March or something. So sorry for that. But so I'm doing part time as a strategist at a camera company in Sweden, um, and we're talking about labeling. Um, Labeling projects that we contribute to open source based on what level or our commitment to the project basically. So is this an example code that we're just putting out there and don't mean to maintain, but we're putting out there? Then we they will tag it like example code. If it's something we use in production, we label it production. So to say that we support this, we have a long-term commitment on this, or maybe it's a project that's submitted by a developer, but it's not core business, and it's based on time. We will be active here. We're looking for contributions and so on. So some kind of labeling system or scheme to be able to communicate what kind of commitment or the level of involvement we see with the projects that we release.
would that be a labeling system at the project level or at the contribution level, Johan?
That would be at the project level to communicate our intention with the project in terms of the maintainer of the project. So I see that as some kind of risk metric, but maybe it's something else. I don't know. Just wanted to bring it up because I mean it signals the level of commitment and in some sense risk and quality of the project. But that maybe it could be some kind of flag for contributors to community to say, okay, we're using this in this way. We are committed to this level. These are just thoughts. We're talking about having this kind of labeling system for the products that we use, and then publish this schema so the users of the products we commit and know what to expect basically.
Okay. I added.
Does this resonate in any way with another discussion that's been in this group or another?
I don't think we've had this discussion since the last time you were here. But I don't think we have anything that's like that. I just created a repository purpose labels metric, or repository purpose, maybe labels as an implementation.
But basically it's self-assignment, trying to communicate what's our commitment with this project that we
repository commitment, maybe.
Does it make sense, or am I?
Yeah. All right, I put a note in there, and we can talk about that format.
I can write something up there and send you as an email to give a bit more context.
Or if you look at the, I can put an action item for you in the minutes.
Sure.
About that. Somebody just put in a note about the next metric release. I assume that was Matt.
It was. So just seeing if there's anything that's going to be targeted for that. There seem like there's a lot of metrics that are in kind of early stages.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only
Let me take
that's
a
like
look
3 weeks away.
for the release for comments period.
Yep.
I'm just, I made an assignment to you in the spreadsheet for that summarized tag use by repository metric. And it is in the spreadsheet that's at the top of our minutes document, Johan, which you can also get to from our repository. In terms of metrics that are in development, I'm surprised that the forks metric isn't proposed for release, because there's certainly some that we should, well, it's not defined yet. There are certainly some, like the in progress ones, that we have working metrics in both software tools for, and it would be a good idea to put those metrics into definition stage. So like if I
And
were to
really,
identify,
I was going to say, I mean, really, the goal would be like in the next 3 weeks that you would get basically whatever metrics you think are appropriate kind of out of a Google Doc and into a GitHub repo, because you could still take comment for another month,
yep,
you know, so just kind of like it's 85% done or 90% done as posted in GitHub.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yep. I'm just kind of looking through if like some of these like stakeholder influence seem very ambiguous. Oh, actually, there's a few things probably that Johan gave us that we might want to look at. Issue resolution time. I feel like that may exist in another working group.
This must be in evolution. Issue resolution time.
Wouldn't surprise me if it's defined somewhere else.
Yeah, I feel like that's an evolution. Language declaration in README. Okay, this might be just simply there's a, which working group is it? Common language distribution. Common is looking at actual language use in repos. Is declaration useful? Language declaration is kind of an interesting thing because it's essentially is all that it's used for on most platforms is declaring your initial git ignore. And oftentimes it doesn't end up being the primary language of the repository. So that might be one I would maybe suggest we take that back to considering. Language source proportion. I don't know what's meant by that. Does anyone else recall what's meant by that?
Which one?
Language source proportion.
Me. Would there ever be a repo that has mixed languages?
Oh, I mean, for sure. That's
So
what
there.
that's what the common metric. Ah, okay. So common is already working on this metric. In fact, it's assigned to me. Metric. So I don't know if there's a state for. There's not a state for see other different working group, but maybe we should add one. I'm not sure. I don't want to delete it, but that's essentially the metric that I'm working on in common.
Well, it's just if you just make a pointer, I think.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It said commons working on this metric, so
Yeah, I think that's fine.
okay.
And then move it out of in progress.
To considering or whatever. That's the lowest
Or
level, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Stakeholder influence, issue volume. Issue volume, I'm not sure that is a metric, but this may be a case where it can be a filter on an existing metric in evolution. Or common. Issue resolution time, I'm pretty sure exists. I'll check on that. Software vulnerabilities, that's ours. Pull request discussion, nobody's doing that. Forks, I don't think anyone's done that. Code complexity, we have that data. I don't know if we've started building the metric. We haven't, but yeah. So I think that I don't know if there's a way to tag it as one, like I don't know how to say these are ones. Okay, like this should be developed. This SPDX approved licenses. Nope, because we have that. So I break.
What are you wondering?
I'm just trying to indicate how to separate the in progress ones that we want to work on for release, because the data already exists in tools and they would be easy to write.
Just put it in the comments.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. There's probably 4. And actually, we could probably do pull request discussion as well. So I'll see if I can enlist some assistance. I think those are the 4 that we have working software around, and we should probably get into metrics from a risk perspective, especially SPDX approved licenses. I mean,
right.
That's these are things that we've done, and we just have to write the metric, and that's just a little bit of time to write those metrics. So maybe make a note in the let's see, I just say okay. I think anybody want to take any action items for working on any of these metrics that are slated for release? SPDX approved licenses.
Why don't you tag Matt on that one, Snell?
I can work on pull request discussion.
I can't spell license this morning. Oops, MS, AI. I can take action items on age of bugs and forks. Actually 5 I wrote down. We have those exist, so let's get them. thank you for bringing the deadline that I think we just finalized the deadline last meeting for the full group, right?
Yep. Yep. I mean, we kind of had it out there, but I think
Yeah.
when you start backing things up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I think we always kind of had August on our minds, but then when you realize that the release is in August, that the working group work needs to be done
now.
Yeah, pretty much now.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go.
I need to drop out.
All right, I think we're done anyway. Thank you very much, Johan.
Thanks for today.
Thank you for your good contributions. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Johan.
Awesome.
Thanks, Johan.
Bye.
I don't know why it won't let me assign myself an action item with the email address I'm logged in as. That's a really weird thing. But
that is weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that concludes the risk meeting for today. And unless anyone else has other questions.
That's it for me.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.